Casting Road!
With Tom and Matt.
Whoa, we got a jingle or something.
There you go. Oh, and a cough right to start off the episode. That's professionalism right there.
Because you're a smoker.
Yeah, it is probably because I'm a smoker. Although non-smokers do cough as well.
No, they don't.
So. Okay, they don't.
Only cigarette smokers used to cough.
Okay, all right.
Obviously.
I remember coughing as a child. Then again, my parents did smoke, so maybe it was the second hand getting me there.
There you go.
Getting me there. This is Casting Broad with Tom and Matt.
Yep.
Or Matt and Tom.
Yep.
We still haven't decided, I don't think, officially.
Doesn't matter.
It really doesn't. I think we should have this conversation at the start of every single podcast we do.
Just to decide.
Although, to anyone tuning in, this will be the first podcast, even though there have been 4 previously.
4 bonus episodes hidden in the dirt and the mud and the muck and the mire.
Keep an eye out for those on off weeks.
Yep.
They'll be trickling out probably in the weeks and months
We can
to
save
come.
those for when you have your premature death from smoking. We can release them
Yeah.
posthumously.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
You okay with that?
I'm good. Yeah, and thank you for the optimism. But
Cool.
look, we try and have a topic every week.
We do. We do, sir.
You know, just to introduce you to the format of the show,
Yep.
dear listener.
Okay.
Casting Broad, it means a couple of things. One, we are coming to you from a broadcasting school, which the name of which we won't disclose, even though we probably can, and it's no big deal, but we'll just pretend that there's an air of secrecy around it. But that's one thing. We're both studying for a broadcasting degree.
Yep.
And secondly, you know, although we try and have a topic, it's sort of, you know, it often expands and goes to places that have nothing to do with the topic.
It's fluid.
So
It's
we're
a fluid show.
You know, we're broadcasting, we're sort of casting broad, you know? Like, generally.
Okay, so
No.
now that they've gotten it,
Mm-hmm.
let's show them. Let's show them the goods. Now they know what they're in for.
Yeah.
Let's deliver. Let's peel back that jacket and show them what we got for sale. What is it this week? Privilege. Right?
Privilege.
Privilege.
Mm.
Are we talking white privilege or just privilege in general?
Oh, just privilege in general, really.
Okay.
Because here at the course, we've gotten into what I referred to on my radio shift today as the BuzzFeed section of the course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I've just been introduced to BuzzFeed through this course that we've been doing.
Oh, okay.
I'd never been on there before, and I'd
I
heard people
envy
saying
you.
like, "Oh, like they were referencing an article," and a couple of people were like, "Ugh, that's so BuzzFeed," and I was like, "What do you mean?" Because I'd never been on the website. Now I know what they mean.
Well, they're known for a couple of things. So one is the sort of stuff we're doing now, you know, like, have you ever eaten a burrito and not thought about what that says about appropriation of that sort of social justice, sort of politics
Yeah, it's
thing?
lofty.
And they're also known for things like 15 cat videos that you probably haven't seen before, the cat falling down the D. So they're sort of known for those are the big two.
Yeah,
Very different kind of things.
I saw that they're
but-
casting broad as well.
Well, yeah. They're targeting, I guess, 2 sort of niche markets there
Do you think
simultaneously.
the cat videos get you sort of your everyday man in? Boom, he's hooked on that little clickbait, and then before he knows it, he's like knee deep in an article about black civil rights.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how they do?
Yeah, although it's not like they do profiles of Martin Luther King it's not like deep, important black civil rights. In my humble opinion,
Yeah.
it's more sort of microaggressions and that sort
Okay.
of modern.
And they had this quiz that we took yesterday. It's a are you privileged quiz.
Yeah.
And according to this thing, I am not, but I know that I am.
Mm. Well,
I'm certain that I am.
You are a white man,
Mm-hmm.
and you do identify as a man.
Yep.
What's the word for that, Tom? I'll quiz you.
Cis.
Hey, there you go. Did you know that word?
Is that an acronym or is that just a word?
It's just a word.
Ah.
I think
It looks incomplete.
I was at a sort of
SAS.
like activist sort of basement gig once. It was for saving the whales, right?
Yeah.
Did
Did you save them?
I wanted stage time, so I just go anywhere. Although, I think saving the whales is a decent.
Did you save those
Cause.
whales?
I told jokes about them being harpooned, and that helped raise money to save them. So
And awareness, I guess, of the horrible things that are happening to the whales?
I won't go into it right now, but it was sort of... Well, I'll go into it very briefly. Have you seen that documentary what's the name? Blackfish. Have you seen that?
No.
Okay. Well, it's
on my list.
It's a documentary about SeaWorld, and it specifically focuses on one killer whale there who ended up killing quite a few people. Are we recording?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, we are. Cool. And the gag was I retold, because it was a rumor they would know what it's about.
Yeah.
And obviously the movie is about, oh my God, look what they've done to the whales and look what this does, because they don't normally act out and this is what it's done to them. And I kind of retold the synopsis of the film as if the whale was the villain.
Okay.
That was the sort of idea. They actually were good sports about it.
Yeah.
But that's off topic. We veered off course there.
No,
we cast broad. We cast broad.
Yeah, man. Not so broad that would reel in a whale, though. That's something we wouldn't do here.
Anyway, there were a lot of activist type people there, and one girl got up and was doing her poetry.
Yeah.
And the way she mentioned the word cis.
I already feel bad for her.
No. Well, it was really receptive. No, she was good at what she did too.
Okay.
It wasn't my flavour, but she was good at her kind of thing, and it was also a very receptive crowd. So there's nothing to feel sorry for.
Yeah.
You know, it was
She was reading a poem though. Just any person reading a poem in any setting is immediately just. Oh,
I'm similar, especially those. There was another guy. Oh, God,
and that's because I'm totally insecure about my writing, and I'm just like I could never do that. Although we did.
We did.
Yeah.
That's a teaser for the episode that will come out at some point.
Yeah.
It's being recorded. But when she got to she mentioned the word cis, right?
Yeah.
And she stopped and went, for anybody who doesn't know what cis means, it's kind of a way of us giving people a label who've never had a label before.
Right.
Because if you say, which comes across as a bit passive aggressive, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
And I think that's going to be a big theme of this, because they'll always say things like our tutor will say, now we're not having a go at any white males here. We're not saying it's your. Yeah. We're just saying it's about being conscious. It's like that is kind of having a go. And we weren't having a go at anyone, so...
I gotcha.
That's the thing. We were never saying black people or whatever group you want to name were bad or not as good or whatever, but now, you're proactively kind of assigning labels and talking about things and kind of telling us how our life has been. That's getting off track. What was I saying about the cis thing? Oh, yeah, because with that, right, the labels...
Yep.
I guess if you were to ask someone what's the word for a person who identifies with the gender they were born with, most people would say normal.
Right.
And it's kind of like, well, are you saying we're not? I think the kind of point to say that's like means we're not normal by default.
Yeah.
Which I guess fair enough. Thoughts?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I always feel like all of it's just changes depending where you're at in life. And I always get maybe I'm just a bit of I don't strongly identify with certain things as strongly as other people do.
Uh-huh.
So I don't think about it too much.
Right. When you say you don't strongly identify with, you mean like just aspects of yourself?
Yeah, I guess maybe. I don't know. I'm always like, because I know I feel completely different than I do last year even.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be a side effect of being the age that I'm at, being 25. It's like there's a lot of like experimenting going on. You're kind of working out who you are, but they're like that kicked off in adolescence, and it's still very it hasn't kind of worn out in me yet. It's still going on.
Well, I don't. So this probably wasn't what you were meaning, but when you said I don't really identify very strongly with certain things, I guess the first thing I thought was the bisexuality.
Yeah.
Tom is bisexual, by the way, for listeners, which means he's
curious.
That means he's less privileged than I am, for anyone keeping score.
Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah.
Based on the algorithm.
Well, going by the test, that means I'm less privileged, but I don't.
Yeah. Well, I assume that's what
I see it as it's a privilege because I now have the entire population to pick from.
Right,
yeah, dude.
Including a portion of the population.
I see bonuses. I'm surrounded by bonuses, but then this test made me feel bad about it, and it's kind of like, what? This is not a thing.
Well, I was going to say
this should not be the case. Like,
well, I guess when you were saying you didn't identify strongly, I was thinking like. That with the bisexual is that because you're kind of wishy-washy, like, oh, well, am I one? But that's not what it is.
Well, that one, because that one's like, I haven't always felt that way. Like, when I was younger, I certainly didn't. I was just kind of just sure that I was just straight.
Okay.
And it was only kind of later in life that it's kind of like, there was things that I was doing when I was younger. Like there was a couple of times where I experimented with guys and stuff, and there was like a few people that I'd hooked up with and hadn't really thought much of it.
What age are we talking here, by the way?
This is
when you say
like
younger?
14.
That's pretty young.
Yeah.
But I guess like before that, people kind of already feel like. Did you like when would you say? And this is a hard thing to approximate, right?
Yeah.
But when would you say you started having sexual feelings, just generally?
I think adolescence, as soon as adolescence started kicking in. But because I think part of it for me was like because it was assumed that I was straight, that I assumed I was as well. Like I had like when you get to the age where you start getting interested in girls, I had like uncles and stuff would be like, oh, you got a girl on the scene, or is there a girl you've got an eye on, or like, oh, what do you think of her? There was never an uncle who came over and was like, oh, you got a little guy you're sucking off every now and then. There was no uncle giving me that, so that wasn't like it didn't even feel like a complete option for me.
Well, you're quite straight acting too.
Yeah.
Which I know, again, that's one thing that people will some people will sort of take offence to that sort of phrasing.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, they're stupid for that
Yeah.
because let's face it, although there are gay people who, sort of have your mannerisms that are sort of, again, sort of straight, right?
But
there are people who are like, hello.
Yeah, I'm not flamboyant, but I definitely have qualities that people would associate with homosexual males. Like I'm neat, a kind of neat guy, a kind of a fun guy, very.
I'll give you the neat thing.
Quite sensitive as well. Like I cry a lot.
Okay, that's
during movies and things.
I'll give you the neat. When I say I'll give you the neat thing, I'm not saying that like gay people aren't fun or whatever. But I don't think that's like. Something that's associated with not associated with the straightness. There's plenty of like straight guys like, hey, like, oh, fun idiot or whatever.
Yeah. Maybe
What
I'm
do you
thinking
mean
of
by-
like a different breed of fun. Kind of like a silliness and a kind of like a. It's not like a. I don't know. It's a.
I guess I've got that too, right?
Yeah, you do. You have
Then
that
again,
quality.
I'm probably less straight acting than you.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
In fact, I've always said I think I've got like more effeminate sort of qualities than the average straight man.
I feel like I do.
Yeah.
I have that too.
Right.
Yeah.
Was that in the quiz?
No.
No.
That was not in the quiz.
Yeah.
All the stuff around sexuality was kind of just around negative situations. Have you ever felt, ever been threatened like with the threat of violence because of your sexuality, or have you ever been outcast because of your sexuality? There was no like, have you ever found yourself in a situation where your sexuality meant that you got laid twice that night with a woman and a man? That wasn't in the quiz.
Right. Yeah. Right. Or it never said the kind of things that I guess.
Do you get to walk into a room and, regardless of people's gender, choose? Is there potential for a mate there? It's like that wasn't in the quiz either.
And there weren't questions, I guess, about anxiety or whatever that would apply to straight men just as much as they would apply to anyone else. Probably more.
Yeah, on anxiety as well. One of them was like, "Do you feel anxious going through a airport checkout?" And it's like, yeah,
Fuck.
I totally do.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make me any less privileged or anything. I can kind of theorize what they're insinuating there. That like, there's going to be, could be like a race thing that they could be bringing in.
That's exactly what they're insinuating.
But
I guarantee that's what
I get
they're
nervous because I
insinuating.
just get nervous around authority figures, and because I have taken like drugs on planes before, I'm always worried that like just for some reason there's going to be like a little remnants of like weed in my shoe or something like that they're going to sniff out. That's why I'm nervous.
All the radiation. That's the other thing. Okay. I was going to bring up on that. I've got a friend back from Sydney. He used to be my flatmate, Iranian, and he posted on Facebook once, going through the airport, get pulled aside for, like the kind of radiation box where it kind of does the body scan and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, real random or whatever. I get pulled aside for that every single fucking time. Either Sydney is just one of the strictest airports.
Yeah.
Because, every time, without fail. Or, I've got kind of shaggy hair or what have you, and I look like a drug dealer.
At this particular airport, I would say it is just rather than potentially, rather than it being a cold cut case of racism, I think it just could be facism. And because you have a certain look that you have an agenda.
Well, I'm kind of on the edge all the time.
You look a little bit shifty. when you're hanging out. If you're not around people, I've noticed it a couple of times, and I've looked over at you. It kind of looks like you're plotting something.
I'm always thinking to myself and telling stories in my head.
Yeah.
Sometimes mouthing things to myself as well. Without
That would do
knowing
it. If you're approaching the airport checkout, you're mumbling things to yourself. That would make me want to take you aside
and fair enough.
Fair enough. And work out what this guy's up to.
That's the whole thing about profiling. It's not like profiling isn't all racial profiling. It's profiling. It's what behaviours would you expect from someone who's doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other thing. But I guess, again, we're allowed to go off on tangents. But.
Yeah. And we initially brought this quiz up because we were thinking we could write our own quiz. And it would be things that it'd be it'd be labelled as how privileged are you?
Yeah.
But just real kind of more specific things like have you ever had to scurry across the road to get out of the way of a car?
Yeah.
Have you ever?
Well, my big one for me was coordination.
Yeah.
We've been over there, and also just sure-footedness, I guess, would go in the same category. We went with one of our previous, when we talked about the school camps or whatever, how it single you out or in gym class or what have you.
Yeah.
But the example I gave for this one was, I think most people have a decent amount of coordination, right?
Yeah.
And so if
at least
you,
enough to get by without being noticed that they don't like.
Yeah. So if you went into a room, for instance, Tom.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, hey, do you have that book I need? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure, here, man. And I throw you the book.
Yeah.
You'll catch it, probably.
Probably.
Right? Probably.
Yeah, probably will.
Reverse that situation.
Are you going to get hit in the face with a book?
I'm going to hit in the face with a book. And everyone's going to be like, oh, look at Matt. What a retard.
They're
going to say.
I chuck this little pen at you.
Pen, right, okay. Oh, I got it.
But barely.
And
you almost fell off your chair.
And I look silly. Yeah, so even when I get it, even when I achieve the objective, I still do it while looking like a klutz, right?
That checks out. The theory checks out. I wanted to know that you weren't just, just waving this uncoordinated flag, saying like, "Oh, poor old me."
And that is
he is uncoordinated as hell.
And that is the cross that I have to bear.
You're a wonky donkey.
But and you know what? Like, look, I can deal with that. But how often do people who can catch a pen and not look like a twat?
Yep.
How often do they, when they catch something, do they stop and think about that?
I
love
think
about people who maybe don't look so good.
No, I do the opposite of that. I celebrate the moment.
Ah, yeah.
I act as if I got a gold medal. If I throw like a little bit of rubbish and it lands in the trash, I celebrate that moment. That's like one of my things with life is I feel like you need to. But
do you
I've
celebrate
probably been doing that in front of you and then just like
exactly
running around the classroom, the t-shirts over my shoulder like I've just gotten a goal in the FIFA World Cup or whatever.
And no one says anything. Like, what if you celebrated being white? You went into class, you go, guys, white again. Like, didn't change.
White.
I am so happy.
White again.
Yeah. But no one, I mean, some rugby player, like, catches a ball out of left field and, like, gets it and everything through his coordination and everyone just goes,
nuts.
There's never a moment to think about the uncoordinated people.
He gets like a cash injection in his bank account for that move. He's celebrated. He gets a Powerade deal and an Adidas deal.
So that wasn't in the quiz.
That was not in the quiz. We need to write our own quiz.
I don't want to be too selfish too, because I've got. Oh, and then you'll do another one. Want to make this even, not too one-sided.
No, run where the ideas are.
Thinking
to go where the energy is.
Thinking about people no one thinks about, and I'm not one of these.
Is it tall people?
That is coming up later.
Yep.
Bank that.
Okay, we'll bank that. Put a pin in that guy. I'll write that down.
Although I'll take an angle you might not be expecting on that one.
BFG.
People who are not allergic to dairy, they're privileged.
Yeah.
Imagine not being able to have anything with milk in it.
I'm a big dairy guy.
So am I. I love it.
I borderline sweat milk some days, eh? It is my lifeblood.
Yeah.
Get by on that stuff. The smoothie. The milkshake.
Chocolate milk?
The cheese.
Chocolate milk.
Yeah,
no
dude.
more chocolate milk for you.
Yeah, that would do me in. That's my favourite drink.
Mm-hmm.
I could not do without that. If I had one, if there was like that question where it's like you could drink one thing for the rest of your life and it has the same health benefits as water, chocolate milk easily is my answer to that. And not even like none of this like Lewis Road Creamery shit that's been coming out where it's like $3 for like a mouthful. That bugs me, man. That bugs me because there's all these like pretenders that are coming along and like, yeah, they're like pretending like they're massive chocolate milk fans. I was there, man, when Alan Sun was around. This was 2 litre milk, and this was the shit. You can't get it anymore. The company went under. Alan and his son, they fucked up somehow. But now you can't get this milk anymore, and it was like real creamy and
they just
like
got the balance right.
Yeah, strong cocoa, and it was $4 for 2 litres, and it was delicious.
Oh,
It just shat on Lewis Road. Oh.
I know what you mean with like chocolate milk. There's different, like some people get it better too. And you would think how good could this possibly be?
It can get so good.
It can get really good.
When they do it wrong as well, like if you get like when I go to dairy, like my go-to will be like getting a thick shake, and when they fuck it up, man, that's gonna ruin my day. That is, because it's like I've perfected the art of the milkshake. I should make you one day actually, so you can test this theory out. Because I feel like my milkshake game is more than on point. I should start bottling that shit.
Yeah, I will definitely try it.
You like Jaffa?
I have not had many Jaffa milkshakes.
Maybe
none.
The best I can do is a Jaffa.
Huh.
And I don't say the best I can do as in like this is the best I can offer. It's like it is the best anyone in I'm going to say all of Canterbury. I'm going to say I can make the best milkshake in all of Canterbury. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see how we go. Now, based on how much you've been talking up milkshakes,
yep,
I imagine I can guess the answer to this question. But being LGBT in the LGBT sort of category, the B in there,
yeah.
If you had to choose between being, being straight or being able to drink milkshakes, what would you choose? What's the better privilege?
Wait. So, one scenario, I am straight and can drink milkshakes.
You're straight and can't drink milkshakes.
Oh, I can't drink milkshakes.
And in the other, you're bi and you can.
What? Why is this even a question? This is
exactly
so obvious.
Right. But according to BuzzFeed,
oh right,
yeah, because they don't have
yeah.
There you go. There you go.
I want the milkshakes and I want the boys. I want to know. I want the ladies, the milkshakes. I want the boys and the girls bringing the milkshake to the yard. I want them both.
Very good.
That's what I want. Yeah.
So, people who are not allergic to dairy, they're going right in the privilege list. Tom, it's your turn.
Are we doing the okay?
Someone for the privilege list.
The tall people. Let's do the tall people.
Okay, so you're going to.
I'm a short guy, but I'm also an empathetic person, and I feel like tall people get called out all the time, and it's for some reason totally okay. Like, take fat people for example.
So tall people are not privileged.
Yeah, not privileged.
Well, can I? Okay, even though this is supposed to be yours, though, can I just jump in and revise?
Yep.
How tall are you?
5 something. I don't know.
Yeah. So I would guess
around
5'9".
I think like 170 something centimeters.
Okay.
Not a tall guy.
Okay, that makes you like 5'7".
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, but maybe the 70 and the. But who cares?
I've never understood the foot thing.
I was gonna say the privileged class here would be people between 5'10" and about 6'3".
There's a window for
Yeah.
sure. But beyond that,
Yeah.
I reckon that those people get called out all the time, and it's like, it's what my example was going to be with fat people. It's like if but there's like a kind of sensitivity around that fatness, and I know it's not entirely choice. Being fat, like there's a lot of factors that are there.
Yeah, sure.
But being tall is completely hereditary. That's something you are born with, and you can't do a lot about. You can't unless you take up smoking at a real young age on purpose, but then you shorten your lifespan just to try to start your growth. But people who get they might mention flippantly that fat guy over there, and other people will be like, you don't call it fat. You can't say that. And they'll stop people doing that. They'll police that kind of thing. But whereas with tall people, tall guy walks into the room and it's like, hey, freak show is here. How's the weather up there? There's all those things like that, and it's it's totally okay with it. And I don't think I don't even know why I'm batting for this team. I'm not even part of it, but I just feel like it's I don't know.
No, I was gonna bat for them as well because I was gonna air my grievances.
Yeah.
I haven't actually had myself properly officially measured, but I'm in about the 5'5", 5'6" region.
Yeah.
So I was definitely going to talk about some of the stuff that short people go through, but
yeah.
I was going to balance that because I've got a lot of sympathy for people above 6'3" as well. Here's one: airplanes.
Yeah.
That is as a short guy, that's the one time where I'm really thank God for the shortness. And it's still quite uncomfortable. Yeah. So I'm kind of thinking, imagine how uncomfortable this could be.
Yeah. I noticed that when I was in Asia, they took a lot of night buses, and they had these beds. They're made for generally because mostly it's Asians that are on these buses, and generally they're shorter people.
Mm-hmm.
So these beds were short, but these beds were the exact right size for me. It was Goldilocks hitting that sweet spot, when I got these beds. But all my friends, all tall guys, and they just thought these buses were insufferable, because it was 18-hour rides and they just couldn't get comfortable. And I'm there just completely stretched out, just like on a little Xanax and just listening to a podcast, just the happiest man.
And approximately how tall were these guys?
Not even that tall.
Yeah, they're not even getting into the 6'6" region.
Nah, man, they're not
which would be
I know it's
insane.
NBA scale. They're probably just below that, the tallest of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, in that same vein as well, you know what the big factor is? This is going into more the social aspect of the height.
Mm.
So when you think tall, you think imposing, he can boss people around. He's he walks in and no matter who he is, people are like, oh, he's a boss, If you're 6'6", for instance, really getting up there, and you can carry it, okay, you could really use that to your advantage. If you're 6'6" and you don't really carry it, I feel like in that kind I can boss you around. Yeah, it's almost like a little bit. It's almost like you're just so goofy and gangly, and
dude,
you can.
Yeah, a lot of really tall guys are really uncoordinated.
Yeah. Well, and again, they get double points for that.
Yeah.
In the unprivileged scale.
This is good. We got to do these smaller categories. It was too broad, that quiz on BuzzFeed. I think way too broad.
Well, that's the other thing is they had. I was talking to you about this before we started recording.
Mm.
It was annoying because I started taking it. Not that I lent it any weight to begin with, but I was like, well, just to see what I am by their algorithm. But about probably only a third of the way through, I was just like, you know what? They've asked me if I'm white 30 fucking times.
Yeah.
It's
coded, eh? They're like,
yeah,
it's like,
this is these are different. It could happen to a black guy, but it's designed so it really is something that people say to white people.
Yeah.
And they asked, at the very start, are you white? Look, if you want to put that much weight in it, just wait 20% on that right away. Don't waste my time with asking me if I'm white 20 different ways. That was annoying. So I quit and protest on that one. I'm not. You
didn't miss out on anything. I plowed on through. I got 36 out of 100, and like I said earlier, that's just not the case. But maybe that's my worldview, because certain people would say aspects of me mean that I'm less privileged, but I don't know. Maybe I just put a positive spin on things, and I see them as I'm a privileged guy. There was nothing about where you are geographically, by the way, in that quiz.
Yeah, and it was
not once, and I feel like that's a huge factor.
There was something I should have brought up. There was
nothing about are you living in a war-torn country? Nothing about that.
There was actually one thing because I saw it because Andre posted it. That's where you saw it too, right? Yep. And his one said, first of all, it said
he got the same score as me, by the way.
Yeah, which
he's a straight Filipino.
Oh, the straightness probably helped him.
And he's religious, whereas I'm not.
But
we got the exact same score.
Is he Catholic?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
We got the exact same score.
What did you put for I have a place to worship and stuff?
I said, I didn't because we don't.
Yeah, might have to interrogate Andre on his ounces. But anyway, the thing about his one, right?
Yeah.
Is it said stuff and I won't pull it up on my phone now because it'll shit on our time. It will be bad for listening.
Yeah.
But it was something along the lines of, you are not privileged. And it was don't let anybody ever tell you that you haven't had struggles. You have had struggles and had to overcome obstacles. It's dude, if I got 100 out of 100, you're still not allowed to tell me that I've never had obstacals or struggles. You don't. The quiz doesn't fucking know me in my life.
Exactly, man. Yeah.
So that was really... And the other thing that annoyed me about that, not about that necessarily, but I thought it was funny, right? And this is how people in the sort of the social justice movement or the kind of feminist movement, how they manage to never lose an argument. They will just shift around what they're saying to suit the minute moment. I was making the joke that we're making now on Facebook, right, about what about uncoordinated people? Well, it's not a joke, it's very serious. Yeah. But I was posting that, and, classic, not really getting on the joke. She hops on, she's like, when someone says you're privileged, they are in no way saying that you've never had struggles or have to overcome obstacles. They're just saying that da-da-da. Well, no, actually, this BuzzFeed quiz is literally in those words implying that very thing.
Yeah, dude. I saw that comment and I was like, oh, it was only a matter of time before someone said this.
Someone just couldn't.
Just didn't quite pick up on the joke in it.
Or just couldn't pick up on it. They picked up on it, but they were like, I still need to insert my. She might end up listening to this, and I know her. She's actually a nice person, so I'm giving her kind of a lame voice. But she was speaking in a lame voice in that particular comment.
Yeah, man.
That's not her general personality.
Yeah.
But yeah. I got on a bit of a tangent, and I will probably get angry a few times here.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Sorry.
I was just gonna say, we should make this quiz. Going down the line we had, there was other ones on there. People who can recite the alphabet.
People who need to recite the alphabet to figure out alphabetical order.
Yeah.
Are you one of those? I'm
those
one
kind
of those.
Things. Okay, I tried it, and I am. I need to do that. Yeah. To find a letter. Those kinds of things. I reckon we should whack them on a quiz, and then also get people to just send them in as well, because there's so many out there. We should also, if we do this, people who don't need to blow on the cup before they sip it because they just know it's too hot. Yeah, we should. If we do that, one thing we could do, and if we do this, I'll edit this part out of the audio. No matter what you put, it should just come back. Fuck you. You're so no matter what you do. Go and fucking go sit in your room and you think about what you've done. You had time to take this quiz. You are too privileged. Get out of here. Yeah, you've got access to the internet. That is exactly what the BuzzFeed thing should say. Say, thanks for completing this quiz. You obviously live in a first world country, have access to the internet. Yeah, you just took 20 minutes to just think about yourself, you self-involved prick. Yeah. It's another great point. You've got enough spare time to be taking privilege quizzes. So, congratulations. 100 out of 100. Shut up. Good. I like that idea. Mm-hmm. We should do that. Lovely water. Privileged water. Canterbury water. Do you find out, has our water gotten bad? Because you were away for quite a while. Because people used to, a lot of people say, oh, Christchurch weather. It's not what it used to be. Christchurch water. It's just not what it used to be from the tap. I thought you said weather for a moment there, even though you said water before, obviously. It sounded like you said weather for a second. Look, I don't know, and maybe when the Earth shifted, some sediment, is that what you'd call it, or something? No, I haven't noticed a difference in the taste. Although it could be because I'm used to it, but then again, I go to say Dunedin or Nelson for a weekend, and then come back to Christchurch, and Christchurch water comparative to those two places in particular, it's fucking amazing. It's so good. Okay, well, I mean, I guess you are, although it's not double blind. Mm. But what if it's the water companies and they're putting this out there? They're leaking this shit so people start buying the bottled water as opposed to the tap stuff. Maybe, but you know the trick to that is ice. How do you mean? If the water's cold, it doesn't... Because I always had ice in my water when I was in Sydney too, and Sydney's got shit water. Yeah. But I always had ice in it, so I can't really tell the difference. Huh. Even though Christchurch is known as having, I believe, the world's best water, or at least Canterbury is. Right. I still didn't notice anything because it was cold. Hmm. And the coldness get rid of the badness. There's a little reference for Ricky Gervais people out there. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Where to go? Well, we want to continue with the list. I'm sure we can keep going with, the BuzzFeed one had 100 questions. People who can... Oh, we didn't do short, did we? No, we didn't. Oh, well, short. Properly short. Yeah. The jockey folk. Jockey folk? Well, I'd say jockey up. I'd say jockey up into... Is that okay? Do you reckon you count? As a jockey folk? No. No, I think I'm just out of it. Jockey folk, but do you think you count as short enough to be short? A short person? I do, but... So you're borderlining on average. I think, yeah. I think, but that's because, it was mostly out of... When I was a little boy, I was significantly shorter than people in my class. I was always in the front row for every class photo, every year. Uh-huh. Guaranteed. And then also when, when the girls start growth spurting, a little bit before the Fallons do, that was quite significant for me in terms of the difference between the heights between me and the girls, and there was a lot of he's a short guy, can't date him. So I think I kind of just started seeing myself as a real short guy, maybe shorter than I actually am. This is actually transitioning to what I was going to say about it. Although, just one quick note: when you mentioned that, you reminded me. That's it for me too. I learned I was short
at 14 because I came back from summer vacation and me and my other friend Troy, who's also a short guy.
Yeah, dude.
We were like looking at each other and we're like, we didn't grow. All of our classmates who remember being like around our height no longer were. So that's funny that you remind me of that. The thing I was going to say about being short is that it's not really that much of a setback, but that's so long as you're not stuck in your head about it. Yeah. Because there are things like, and there have been studies done, like if you go into a job interview or whatever, someone who's X amount of inches taller has like a 30% higher chance or whatever, stuff like that. Okay. And generally speaking, by default, I think people do condescend you a little bit or think of you a bit differently. At the same time, though, it's like, well,
you can't overcome that, eh?
Yeah, so long as you're just that little bit better, bit, but like just that little bit better, not even like dramatically better, just like a little bit sharp, a little bit kind of more assertive. Yeah, it kind of washes out.
Yeah, man. So well, it's like Tyrion in Game of Thrones. Like he talks about that. Like he realized early on that his brain was his weapon. It was never going to be his height or his agility, and then so he started training that muscle. And
that's part of look
at him now.
It's actually something Chris Rock said as well, and a lot of comedians
Sorry.
a lot of comedians are quite diminutive guys, and it's something like, say, Chris Rock said. He's like, well, the way I got out of being beat up in school, because I was never big enough to... it's getting funny to deflect. It's like a defense mechanism.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's one thing. Yeah, smarts and humor and things like that. You'll find a lot of short people have that. Yeah. But but if on the other hand you're short and you do let it get to your head, then it's a huge setback because it's kind of a vicious cycle. So people treating you a certain way, you take them on board, you're acting a certain way, people treat you more because you're acting like that. Like,
Would you rather be 1 foot tall or 8 foot tall?
1 foot tall, 8 foot tall. I'll go with 8 foot.
I think 1 foot.
Well, I mean, like,
what are your reasons for 8? And then I'll give you my reasons for 1.
I just think. Well, again, and I only thought about it shortly. All these little accidental puns. I only thought about it for a quick while, so I didn't get a chance to really go through many scenarios. But I guess just instinctively, I feel like there would be less day-to-day inconveniences.
You have to have custom beds, custom shoes made for you, custom clothes.
But that applies to both.
Meanwhile, I can just go to the baby section and get what I want.
Oh yeah, 1 foot is about the size. How tall is like the average 2-year-old?
Maybe 1 foot. I don't know.
Yeah, didn't think about the clothes and stuff because I assumed you'd still need to get custom made at that height.
Nah, but you can just get kids shit if you're okay with wearing that. And like the way clothes are today, like you see like 2-year-olds in like Kathmandu puffer jackets and like they've got on like New Balance sneakers and shit. Yeah. So you can still like dress like an adult, but at like infant prices. It'd probably be like way cheaper.
8 foot tall.
8 foot, that's more material. It's going to cost a lot.
8 foot tall, probably a lot of money. There'd be like your spine might start doing shit with basketball. Wouldn't be an option. But well, seriously though,
yeah.
Because some of those guys in basketball are like they do go into the 7 foot category.
Yeah.
8 foot just might get too unnatural though. But you've also got like
8 foot is so tall.
You've also got hero going for you though. You could be the world's best bouncer. You could break up any fight. You could.
Why are you assuming that just because you're 8 foot tall?
Are we assuming in this hypothetical that you don't have medical problems and stuff? Because like the 1 foot person would have organ issues and all this shit that we're not getting
so
into.
Compressed, eh?
Yeah, I mean. So we need to add other qualifiers here.
Okay, so you're
because in reality, it's like, well, it doesn't matter because they both die. That's so end of discussion.
So you are as healthy as your average 6 foot male.
Okay.
You have the same health and life expectancy as them. So it's just things like a matter of convenience more so than anything. Would you rather be 8 foot or 1 foot?
Airplanes, stuff. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with the 8 foot.
Man, I think it'd be fun being a little 1 foot guy. You get like passed around by people, sit on people's laps.
They wouldn't get old after a day.
You look like a little like Mario. Like you'd kill it at a costume party dressed as Mario.
You'd kill it at a costume party dressed as the dude from Game of Thrones. What's his name?
The Mountain.
Not the Mountain, although I mean the Mountain as well. But the guy who got shot in the face with an bow and arrow this season. At the very end. Come on, he was a giant. That was his thing.
Oh, I've never known that guy's name. He's just been giant in my head.
Yeah. That guy.
They don't address that guy so much, eh? He doesn't really speak, so they kind of just hang out with him.
So short people, they're on the list.
Yeah. Okay, what about? I'm trying to think of quite specific ones, like the one I had earlier about like people who can. They don't need to blow on their cup of tea before they drink because they just know it's too hot. They just have that built in.
Okay, so they don't get burned on the lip too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many people have that though? Do you know people who just know when the tea's the right temperature?
Yeah, I think I've come across them. They just can just look at it. It's like a matter of where it's like I don't know what they're gauging, the steam thing. They just have a sense for it. Maybe they've done their 10,000 hours and they're just expert tea drinkers now. Could be that.
What about imaginative people? Because they're not really represented in the test. Like illiterate people and stuff like that, they're probably taken into account. Education.
Yeah, there was like learning disabilities. That was
learning
part of
disabilities. But what about imagination? That's not really
So
taken.
elaborate on that. What do you mean?
They're privileged.
Having an imagination?
Yes.
I think so.
But there is like if you don't, you're sort of boring. You never have the answers.
I think you don't know any different either with that one.
Yeah. And I guess unimaginative.
Like, are they sitting there like are they getting frustrated? Like, oh, I wish I could think of this thing, but I just don't know. I can't think of it because I don't have the imagination. Or are they thinking like, are they just thinking carrots?
Well, dude,
because they're in front of carrots at the New World, like.
Well, dude, we're in a class where people were accepted because they probably had at least an average to slightly above average in that area.
Oh yeah,
and you still see in our class where they're.
I was thinking internally for that specific person rather than like what effect they would have on the world and what their world would have like.
Oh right, okay, right.
I was just thinking of them just day to day, like having a lack of imagination, probably like
going, damn it, no imagination.
Yeah.
Well, you're not.
Because it's like when you try to recall something, when someone asks you a question, you're like you feel like you have the answer and you just can't remember what it is. Do you reckon that's what it's like to have no imagination? Like.
It's probably similar. That's probably somewhat analogous.
Feeling. Yeah, and that's the thing you can't really Google. You can't just Google like, can I have some default imagination right now?
Yeah.
Whereas the answer for the question that you're trying to think of, you just Google that. You relieve that tension.
What should we put in the quiz? Like.
So they are in the category now.
Yeah, the quiz should be like, can you think of 3 names for something? In 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, no, okay. That'll be.
Well, that's also that. If we put a time limit on, that's a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah. Well, no, you just trust them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the BuzzFeed one counts on trust too.
Yeah, this is true.
So you just tell me honestly, can you think of 3 names for whatever? I guess me saying whatever indicates lack of imagination there, so it's hard to quantify that.
Yeah.
The thing that sucks about having an imagination though, and this is going to a new one now. I think I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I think I have a fairly active imagination.
You have a strong imagination.
Thank you, Tom. He said it, so it's true. Stops me from
the way you reacted to that.
Stops me from getting to sleep.
Your imagination
robs me from sleep.
Your mind wanders, huh?
So let's put that in there. People who can sleep well. Privileged.
Yeah. I am one of those people, and you come across the zombies who can't. Man, I just feel for them, eh?
Yeah.
I've had periods in my life where I haven't been sleeping, but that's kind of more down to me, like deciding to take some drugs or stay up.
You
really
can just
late
switch
drinking.
off because you're imaginative too. But I guess you've got the switch off button. That's why we're not just lumping it with imagination. It's related, but not necessarily linked, directly. So I guess people who can turn their brain off, they're in the privileged.
Without drugs or alcohol.
Yeah. So all the points you won with the bisexual thing are stricken from me being able to go to sleep.
Yeah.
It was good while it lasted, wasn't it, Tom?
It was nice. It was a nice ride.
Yeah. People who can grow facial hair.
Yeah.
We've both got that.
Because it gives you a little dress-up option, eh?
Yeah.
It's like,
definitely.
I feel like that. Like, I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and she was saying that, guys are lucky who can grow facial hair because they get to kind of in a way, reinvent themselves a little bit. Like, or just decide they could be a moustache guy, or they could be a goatee boy, or they could be like a
full beard guy,
sideburn dude, or full beard man. Like, they got options. It's just kind of it's a way to express yourself and kind of hold on to some kind of sense of identity. And it's also having a beard is a perfect way to buy yourself some time and appear as if you're thinking when you're stroking it.
Yes.
If someone asks you a question, you just start touching your beard. It's like, oh, he's really thinking. But if you get asked a question and you just stay still and don't touch your face at all, or you touch your face and you have no beard, you look nervous. You know, it's either you look like an idiot or you look nervous, but you bring the beard into the situation and you look profound and thoughtful.
Nice. There we go. So we've got that. People who can grow facial hair.
Oh yeah.
that's made me thinking as well. I'm going to pass this over to you to think of one, because I think I've done the last 2 or 3.
Yep.
So I've been stealing too much time.
This is good.
Sorry.
Go where the energy is. You got them, further them out.
People who, aren't self-conscious or whatever. Anyway, we just did facial hair, and I think we've done another few that are quite specific to men. Like being short, I don't think really, aside from like being able to reach things or whatever, that doesn't really apply as much to women. So what are some like female-centric things?
Having too much beard, maybe.
Yeah, so...
ladies who have like a strong... they end up with a gene that just means they have a lot of facial hair.
So being able to grow facial hair would be the not being able to grow facial hair would be the unprivileged... would be the privileged, section for the woman.
Or at least having like fine hair, I guess.
It's still not desirable compared to none.
No, of course, but I just mean all over their body, a lot of my friends, they talk about that, I see them, they'll look at another girl's arms and oh, you've got such fine hair. I wish mine was like that, because they, feel like theirs is coarse and, quite, I don't know what the word is, though. It's, clumped together.
I see. Yeah, right.
These girls, they're not, carpeted. They're in my eyes, they barely have any hair at all, but, I just see it differently, I guess.
She's got hair for women. I was going to say, good looks or whatever, but I think that's already in the sort of BuzzFeed spectrum.
Yeah, that's in there. It's body shaming and,
good looks and stuff, yeah.
That's definitely in there. I suppose, in a way, hair comes into that category.
Uh-huh. Deep voices? Though I guess, there's deep and there's deep, though. There's deep, which is sort of a little bit husky but still feminine, and then there's deep,
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, one certainly is... in terms of the period, you get different lengths. Some girls get it for 2 days, light flow, no stress, barely any cramps, and then others an entire week of just a living hell, where they're just bent over double because it's so painful.
So the question would be,
who are the privileged few? The ones who barely bleed, the ones the 2 day bleeders.
Do you barely bleed when you're on the rag? Okay. Do you not need a rag when you're on the rag?
Yeah.
Maybe. It's definitely the quietest part of the podcast. There was another one, actually.
And also the breast size as well.
Yeah, but is that not in the BuzzFeed one?
I don't think it was.
Breast size? Okay, well, yeah, definitely.
Because when it's when they're too big, that's just you get the
back
problems.
That's what I was going to say too. Yeah, there's back problems and
they have this
and unwanted attention.
Gets to a certain point where they can't even wear regulation safety belts because it's
it's too much of a variable.
It just cuts into their it ends up the belt ends up around their neck because of their breast size.
Yeah, they even have breast reduction surgeries. People like that.
Yeah.
Which, that was the other thing I was going to say, how there was being able to grow facial hair for a man, good, being able to grow facial hair for a woman, bad. Like I was saying, deep voice for a man, good, deep voice for a girl, no. Conversely, deep voice for a girl, no, and high voice for a man, no. There's another one I'll take. I've got, it's not, ridiculously high, but it's, a bit higher octave than,
Yeah, your natural pitch definitely is.
Yeah. So that's one I'll take.
Yeah.
Right on the poor me, feel sorry for me. Take some time out to... That's what you should do, Tom. You with your low voice. Every day you should just take a moment to think about if your octave was a bit higher. I
have a low voice, do I?
It's sort of... Yeah, it'd be a lower octave than, I think, default.
Right. My natural pitch, I'm pretty sure, is higher than the one I usually put on, though.
Yeah, But your natural, I think, is probably a bit... It's not Barry Manilow kind of thing, but... Yeah. It's, probably a bit more.
Yeah.
Anyway, medium octave isn't a privilege. It isn't an unprivileged area either. So there you go.
I feel like I land in that category a lot of the time.
Which one?
Just right in the middle. I'm not a short guy. I'm not a tall guy. I'm not a gay man. I'm not a straight man. I'm landing in the middle a lot here.
Yeah, but bi isn't actually in the middle because you're in a very small minority. There are less bi people than there are gay people statistically.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, again, this is going into... This is actually a really controversial episode for our first one, which I quite like. So we're making a big splash with all this shit, and then next week it's going to be we'll talk about farm animals or something.
Yeah.
But
tune in for that.
I was thinking it's
the old McDonald farm episode. That's going to be a cracker.
My assertion there on bisexuality might change if you if you're including like girls who are open to sort of experimenting and messing around, but don't just date men and don't really actually count themselves as bisexual, because that's like a lot of girls.
This is true,
and there's not many men like that. Well, there's basically none. There's like basically no men who are like, I'm not bisexual.
Yeah, because I know people, guys and girls, who have done more with the how to phrase this, like whatever sex they are. So say a girl, take a girl for example. I have a friend who she's done more with girls than I have done with guys. But she identifies as a straight person.
Mm-hmm. So if you put that into the equation, I'm wrong about the bisexuality thing. But with sexuality, identification is a big part of it, and it's also about like you're actually in relationships with and everything like that. And the thing that Dan Savage, who's this sort of do you know him?
No.
He's like this sex advice columnist in the US.
Yep.
He's theorized that a lot of men, a lot of gay men, when they're in the coming out process, will go a year, 6 months, a couple of years, whatever, saying they're bisexual before they finally go.
Oh, like a stepping stone.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And so he says like bisexual registers at whatever, like 3%. He goes, no, I think it's more like 0.3%.
Yeah.
That's his theory.
Okay, yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see why people would do that. You're saying I'm going to do that, Matthew, in a year's time.
No, I think you are legitimately. I think you are legitimately by being friends with you for the past 6 months or whatever. And
no, I know I am.
Yeah. But yeah, you are in a very small minority.
Yeah,
according to what I've read.
Yeah, I feel like they're out there. See, I'm of the opinion that everyone's a little bit, and so I kind of just group them in, even if they don't feel it themselves. Like some people just kind of put out a bit of an energy, and I'd never like tell somebody like, nah, you're bi. Like I'd never do that to anyone, but like I get like senses from like this certain guys and girls that I talk to. It's kind of like, yeah, it's there if you just kind of let that happen.
Yeah, right.
Get the end of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I count them. They're my brothers and sisters.
Nice.
Wow. Is that it?
What are we at?
Are we privileged? Are we feeling privileged? Are we doing a goodbye thing?
Outro. Yeah.
You don't know how to do these. All right.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
I was going to do the thing, but I forgot the name of the fucking show.
Casting Broad.
Okay.
Anyway, guys, thanks for... let's do it like,
So I do it like that at the start.
Like, you say goodbye, I say goodbye, and then you do the outro.
Okay.
Anyway, guys, that's been the Privilege episode. Thanks for tuning in. I've been Matt.
I've been privileged. Casting Broad!